Signs: the sun, moon, and stars. Back for the Dendera Zodiac Code Celestial Gospel Calendar. Let's explore. Back at blog.try-god.org, Biblical Astronomy of the Dendera Zodiac Axis. Processional ages aligned with biblical administrations. First is the zodiacal sign, a zodiacal sign, biblical administrations, heaven and earth, the start dates, and the scriptures. The first zodiacal sign is Sirius. The biblical administration is the angel's first estate. It is the first heaven and earth. There's a question mark on the start date, and the scripture associated is Genesis 1, verse 1 and 2. The second is Gemini. It's the original paradise, second heaven and earth, 6480 BC. Genesis 3:8. Taurus, Bible patriarchs, second heaven and earth, 4320 BC, Genesis 3 and 23. Aries is the Old Testament law, second heaven and earth, 2160 BC, Exodus 1960. Pisces, Christ, grace, revelation, second heaven and earth, 7 BC until now. We have Matthew 3:1, Matthew 3:11, Acts 2:1, and 1 Thessalonians 4:13. And Aquarius is the final paradise, third heaven and earth, 2153 AD. This march of the processional ages is recorded in the Dendera Zodiac, and in recognition of the axis built into the structure. The primary axes of the Dendera Zodiac are indicated in Figure 3 below. From Schwaller de Lubbock's seminal analysis of the zodiac, showing the coordination of the precession of the poles with the precession of the equinoxes. As the pole star recedes from the star Thuban of Draco to the current pole in Polaris of Ursa Major, the little bear, in the center of the graphic, we see the related precessional ages/years BC marked on the outer circle. The fact that the ancient Egyptians recognized these two poles and their interrelationship itself bespeaks a knowledge of the precessional phenomena. The role of a biblical archaeoastronomy approach to this subject, in one sense, separates the symbolic details linked with the idol entities of the Egyptian star religion that corrupted the original unity they shared with the Hebrew star names, as we have witnessed and documented in our full website study on this topic. Give me one sec while I scroll down. Astrology has had a vast corrupting influence on the idea of the precession of the equinoxes by idolizing the zodiacal signs and blurring the link between the shorter clockwise and much longer counterclockwise solar cycles. Astrology not only lacks the ability to accurately distinguish when one precessional age ends and a new age begins, but a clear concept of the relationship between these two zodiacal zodiacs, the tropical and the sidereal, is totally lacking of any standard, and no astrologer seems to agree as to the coordination of these two zodiacs. They are thus left in a free-for-all to subjective determine their own systems according to whatever point they choose to emphasize. This led to the chaos and confusion where divine celestial truths have been obscured. As the sun moves on the ecliptic during the solar tropical year, it moves through the backdrop of fixed stars, the sidereal zodiac. These two must be understood both as separate celestial zodiacs and together in a unified system. The annular solar year lacks meaning without the context of the stellar backdrop of the sidereal zodiac. On the other hand, the very long stellar zodiac lacks any application to the human lifespan associated with the shorter annual sun cycle. As in the chart above, once the biblical administrations are tied to these celestial zodiacs, along with their related processional ages, the biblical importance is clarified, and the purpose of the heavens in God's plan for the ages is further revealed, in light of the end-time prophecies of the birth and second coming of Jesus Christ. Once we adopt the understanding and perspective of the biblical patriarchs in the context of God's plan to restore His temporal order, we uncover the divine perspective, which has been hidden under the debris of man's dilapidated idols in ancient history. As we recognize the story of the coming Redeemer written in the heavens, at the root of the cultural sky myths, we can unearth the primal secrets and original symbolic truths of the celestial gospel in every culture, thus decoding the world monomyth. And we see here, figure 3 is the overlay of the zodiacs of the celestial pole and the ecliptic pole of the Dendera zodiac. As we can see in the graphic above, the receding pole star is mapped on the smaller inner circle. Let me read this from down here so you can see this, and then we'll scroll down after this paragraph. This shows us the pole star in a specific processional ages going back to the age of Gemini, marked on the larger zodiacal circle by the symbol 2, prior to 4380 BC, showing the transition from the age of Gemini to the age of Taurus. This depicts Gemini's position at the early stages of the Egyptian reckoning of the processional ages in Dendera's zodiac. Even though the latest version of the temple of Dendera's housing this zodiac was built in the late Hellenistic period, as the outer circle's counterclockwise movement processes, we come next to the sign of Taurus, the bull, marked by one of the main axes in the larger circle in the solid lines above. On the full circle of the zodiac, Scorpius is directly across from Taurus, forming one of the main axes, while Leo, the lion, is across from Aquarius, forming the other. This gives us a picture of the main zodiacal axis during the age of Taurus, as marked by the axis of the Dendera zodiac above. We find the biblical version of this in Numbers 24. Numbers 24, 7 through 9. He shall pour the waters out of his buckets, and his seed shall be in many waters, and his king shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted. God brought him forth out of Egypt. He hath as it were the strength of a unicorn. He shall eat up the nations, his enemies, and shall break their bones, and pierce them through with his arrows. He lay down as a lion, as a great lion, who shall stir him up. Blessed is he that blesses thee, and cursed is he that curses thee. Genesis 49, 9 and 10. Here we see the biblical recognition of the same celestial axis mapped out in the Dendera zodiac. Numbers 24, 7 refers to Aquarius water buckets at the one end of the axis, whose other end is occupied by Leo, the great lion. See verse 9. Verse 8 refers to the unicorn, the reem, that refers to the wild bull of Taurus, opposite the scorpion on the second main axis. See figure 4 below. The context of Numbers 24 lays out the tents and the tabernacles of Israel as a pattern of the 12 tribes of Israel mapped out in relation to the 12 signs of the biblical zodiac.